One that wasn't very fun to watch were the Baylor men, which played right before up in Detroit against Michigan State, a Michigan State team that was absolutely on the ropes at 4-5. They needed a win in the worst kind of way, and all they had was the number 6 team in the country coming in to play them. And then you get some idiots on podcasts who believe in this Baylor team so much that they're saying Baylor's going to win this game easy. I don't care if it's a Hall of Fame coach on the other side. I don't care if they were preseason top 5. I don't care how desperate they are. Baylor's going to win this game by 15 points, cruise to victory. Wasn't the case. Wasn't the case even a little bit at all. None. Baylor is down by 30 points twice in the game and loses by 24. Gives up 88 to what at that point was one of the worst offenses in Power 5. They were bad. They were down in the 70s in Ken Pom adjusted offense. But that's not even the story, because Baylor, which was number 2 in adjusted offense by Ken Pom, scored 17 points in the first half. You got it. 17. Whew. That's atrocious. And I did say on Friday, the one thing that basketball-wise that Michigan State had going for it was it had a top 20 Ken Pom defense. They were still pretty good on defense. But if you're a serious team and you're seriously this loaded on offense, you can be down in the first half against a defense like that, sure. But you can't score 17 points. That can't happen. And it wasn't even just a brick show. Baylor was just throwing the ball all over the place. I didn't know what the offense was on Saturday. I don't know who they were trying to play through on Saturday. And one thing I said about a bunch in the post game, which was the most concerning to me, wasn't even necessarily the score, but when they get down, because they were down early in the game, early and often. They had plenty of chances for someone to step up. Nobody did. Nobody stepped up. Nobody said, get on my back, guys. I got this. Nobody did it the way, I mean, really, all 3 of those guards in the national championship team would do that. And then in 21-22, James Akinjo would do that. Even when he wasn't the most offensively gifted player on the team. Jeremy Sohan at a couple points did that. The Kansas game that year at home that Baylor won, Jeremy Sohan put the team on his back. This kid was a freshman. I mean, and Adam Flagler did it a few times last year, but they needed an alpha more times last year. So that's what concerned me, is who is this team going to play through? And I don't think there's a shortage of options. We just haven't seen it yet. Ray J. Dennis is such a gifted point guard, man. He really is. And he's had a great season so far. And he's a point guard who can score. I actually, as much as I've loved James Akinjo, and I just talked about him a minute ago, I think Ray J. Dennis is a better player, to be totally honest with you. And Akinjo was an All-American at Baylor. So the sky is the limit for this kid. And I'm thinking, is it going to be him? Is it going to have to be Jacoby Walter, who is, talent through the roof, but he is a freshman? Is it going to have to be Yves Missi? Same thing. Ton of talent, but he's a freshman. Could it be Jalen Bridges, a guy who was, the only returning starter from last year, who can get it done at both ends, who stepped up towards the end of the season last year? It wasn't any of those guys. It wasn't Jaden Nunn making defensive stops. It wasn't Jalen Bridges corner threes. It wasn't, you don't have the energy guy like Jonathan Chamwa-Chachua coming off the bench anymore. Caleb Lohner got out there basically just for cardio. That's what concerned me more than anything, was just that lack of someone who will step up. And I told you, it made me think of the Marquette game last year, and the numbers were pretty similar to the Marquette game last year, which ended up being a 26-point loss, I think. In this game, Baylor shot 48% from the floor. Michigan State shot 63%. In that game last year, Marquette shot 58%, so a little bit worse. Baylor shot 48%, the exact same. Points in the paint. In this game on Saturday, 42-28 Michigan State, plus 14 points in the paint. Baylor scored 42 points in the paint in that Marquette game last year. Marquette scored 52. Remember, that was a bit of a problem for the Bears last year. The bench points. This is one that really stuck out to me. that was just not good at all for Baylor on Saturday. They were outscored 35-19 by Michigan State's bench. And in that game last year against Marquette, it was 34-14. So eerily similar, just eerily similar. And the second chance points also killed the Bears in this game on Saturday. I say that in terms of just the difference of 15-6. I know that's not a big number that jumps off the page at you, but -9 in second chance points in big games is not going to help you all that much, especially when you're turning the ball over 21 times and they're scoring 29 times or 29 points off that. So just not a good lead, not a good game overall. There was no changing of the lead in that game on Saturday. Michigan State had it, took it for good. So the one thing that I think Baylor fans can take from this, and maybe not be so much positive, is just not as catastrophic as I was on the post-game Saturday, is there is something to the fact that all the momentum things went Michigan State's way. Okay? Yes, they have a Hall of Fame coach. You have a Hall of Fame coach too, by the way. But they're playing a game that's a home game, and we can't complain about that. That's how Baylor schedules it. You know what you're getting when you're playing Michigan State in Detroit. Come on. But it's a home game for them. They have their backs against the wall. And the things that you see teams do well with a great home court environment that doesn't travel is shooting and bench guys, right? Shooting doesn't always travel. Bench guys play much better at home. Well, I just read it off to you, man. The bench scores 35 points for them, and they shoot 67% from three. They were shooting sub 30% from three the whole year. Part of that was Baylor's perimeter defense, which has been stellar this year, wasn't there on Saturday. But part of that is they hit more shots than they're used to. You know, they got good looks, but more of them were going in than have gone in all season long. So it's not an excuse. This was still an aberration on Saturday. And it does make me rethink the expectations for this team. I had them as national championship caliber. I just don't know after that. But they have a big chance Wednesday to prove me wrong and show me some more. So what do you guys think? That was not fun on Saturday, but it's time to throw away that film. But what are you going to take with you from that game? Do you think this team now is not a Final Four national championship type team? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts.